Aloha and welcome to the G'day Sally show. I'm Sally Squires, entertaining the world. And tonight I'm reading another story from my book, Footsteps to Fairy Forest. And you remember, this is about a little girl who finds a map down in the backyard of her grandmother's house in the wood heap. And when she opens it up, there's a map to footsteps. There's a map of footsteps to Fairy Forest. So each day she takes her compass and she goes along the paths and she finds another footstep. And as soon as she finds a footstep, another fairy appears. So we're up to, believe it or not, we're up to footstep 16, and there's 26 footsteps in all. As I was walking in the north-northwest direction towards footstep 16 this morning, the trees were shedding their leaves on me. I started to put them into my bucket because there were so many beautiful colours. Red ones and orange ones and golden ones and light and dark green ones. I even caught one that looked like it was light and dark purple. Then I thought I could smell smoke in the air, so I wondered if someone was burning leaves. I couldn't see any smoke though. When I looked up into the sky to see where the smoke might be coming from, I was surprised to see the silvery moon high up above my head. I wondered why I could see the moon during the day when it usually just comes out at night. There were squirrels running up and down the trees on each side of me as if they had some very urgent business to carry out, and several of them were carrying something. When I got closer, I could see that they were rushing down the tree trunks carrying nuts and acorns, and then they would jump from the trees onto the ground and scurry away, I guess to bury their nutty treasures. As I got further along, I could see that my path was being blocked by something very big. It was an old broken-down wooden cart, but there was no horse to see anywhere. It looked as if it had been there for a long time, as bits of the sides had fallen off. There was no way I could go around it, so I figured that I would have to climb up on my bucket and clamber over the cart, and that is exactly what I did. A funny little squirrel raced up behind me as I was climbing up on my bucket, and she squeaked at me so loudly I thought she was telling me off. But once I was down over the cart on the other side, she disappeared. The sign for footstep 16 was a piece of purple crystal shaped like a tiny tower. So I thought that it should be easy to see as the sun's rays might bounce off it brightly. And that is exactly what happened. After I had been walking for a few more minutes, I could see just what I expected, a bright ray of sunshine glinting at me. When I got there, it was a tiny purple crystal tower. I was so excited as I dug down to the footstep 16 stone, I could hardly wait to see which fairy I was about to meet. As I waited, a bright red bird flew over and perched on a stone just near me. Then it started to sing a soft whistle song. Suddenly, I saw a bright red, yellow and purple flash, and I held out my hand for the fairy to land on it. She landed on my middle finger, and then I saw that her wings looked just like fiery flames. They were amazing. She said she was the fairy of fire, Peptaforea, and then I fell asleep. Okay, so now we're going to find out about Peptaforea, the fairy of fire. Peptaforea waved her magic wand over the leaves that she was preparing to burn. Once they had all burnt down into an ashy pile, she would place them around the base of the trees and shrubs to help them grow. The fairy had also made a neat pile of seeds from the wildflowers, and she would make a fire in amongst them after she had burnt the leaves. Wildflower seeds need the heat of the fire to pop them open, so that they can then bury themselves in the ground and start to grow a new wildflower plant. As she waved her magic fairy wand, which was made of ashen flames, Peptaforea said her fairy spell. Unicorn, universe unusual. Fiery flames licking leaves, create cache of crackly ash, fine feed for trees to dash. And then she waved her magic wand again over the pile of leaves. But to her amazement, nothing happened. No fire, no flames in amongst the leaves. I must not have said my spell loudly enough, thought the fairy. So she repeated it as she waved her wand again. And this time she also sprinkled the leaves with magic fairy dust, even though she had never had to use it before. Unicorn universe unusual. Fiery flames licking leaves create cache of crackly ash, find feed for trees to dash. Again nothing happened. She knew that she had created a safe area for the fire by surrounding the leaves with rocks and making sure the ground around the rocks was clear. So she knew that the fire would be safe and not burn anything it shouldn't. Very puzzled, Peptaforea flew over to where all the wildflower seed pods were waiting to be opened by the fiery flames so they could each release their seeds. The fairy took no chances this time. She opened up her secret fairy dust pocket and drew out a large fairy fistful of fairy dust. Then she sprinkled it over the seed pods as she said her magic spell. Unicorn universe unusual. Soak seed pods safely. Fiery flames open pods release seeds to grow. And she added the words fip fap fop fip fup to make her spell even stronger. But again nothing happened. The fairy was very puzzled now. She sat down on a nearby toadstool to think about what should have happened. Had she lost her fiery fairy powers? She didn't think that was possible because she'd never had this problem before. Had her magic fairy spells failed her? She didn't think that was possible because they'd always worked before. Maybe someone or something is interfering with my spells, she thought. So packing away her wand and her packet of magic fairy dust, Peptaforea decided that she had better fly around the forest to see if she could find who or what was interfering with her fire-flaming skills. As she flew in close to a huge tree, she could see a gold and green glinting coming from the highest branches, and she could hear someone muttering, "Forest flames forever foiled, forest flames forever foiled, forest flames forever foiled." And as she flew up to the highest branches, the fairy could see a wicked wizard waving his wand and uttering the words, "Forest flames forever foiled." So that is why my fiery flaming spells aren't working today, thought Peptaforea. She flew up and landed right on the wicked wizard's nose. She was so close to his eyes that he had to cross them so he could see her. He stopped uttering and muttering. His voice was very loud as he said, "Who are you? Get off my nose at once." "Excuse me," said Peptaforea. "Who are you? And why are you interfering with my spells?" "What spells?" asked the wicked wizard. "I am Peptaforea, the fairy of fire, and I need to make fires so the leaves can burn down and make ash so the trees can grow. And I need to make fires to burn the wildflower seed pods so they will burst open and fling their seeds out so new wildflowers can grow," she said. "And I am always very careful to make sure that my fires are safe and will not get out of control," she added. The wizard began to cry, and the tears slid down under the fairy's toes. She lifted up off his nose and hovered a little distance away from his face, but not so far that he could not see her. "Sniff, sniff," the wizard sniffed. "No fires for me," he said. "I am Sad Sam. And when I was a young wizard I was playing with my friends near the fire, and I slipped and fell in. Now I travel around casting spells to stop fires everywhere." The fairy felt sorry for him. "I understand perfectly," she said kindly, "but sometimes fires are needed to create ash to help trees and plants grow, and to release the wildflower seeds so that new wildflowers can grow. And that is why I make fires," she said. "Maybe you should ask those who live in the forest and woods and bush whether they need your fire dampening skills so that you can put out wildflowers but leave the others alone." Sad Sam stopped sobbing. That is a very good idea," he said. "From now on I will ask before I cast one of my fire dampening spells." So that was the story of the fairy Peptaforea, who was the fairy of fire. You know, Hawaii is a microcosm of the world, with people here from all over the world. And Noa Hawaii is a microcosm of the traditional arts of the world, with beautiful patterns from many countries. They've been in business for more than 40 years with wonderful Hawaii-designed batik clothing. Their hand-dyed and handmade clothes have patterns that are based on traditional kapa and tapa designs from Hawaii, Polynesia, Micronesia, Indonesia, even New Zealand and Africa. So check out the wonderful items that Noa Noa has on their website, www.noanoahawaii.com.